Out of respect for your time and for those who are listening in via Zoom, I'm going to go ahead and get started. And that point, people might be trickling in a little late. Feel free to grab snacks now if you want, or afterwards. Thanks, Catherine, for putting all those together. We're trying to make this a little celebration because we know that transitions and changes are never easy, especially when it comes to a website, which we probably use most of you probably use every single day. So the purpose of this meeting and the meeting tomorrow is just to make sure that you feel really comfortable with the new website and with knowing where things are, knowing that it's going to be a learning curve, but also knowing that our office is there to help you make sure the transition is as easy as possible for you. So I'll be going through a short demo and then taking any questions from you guys or those listening in via Zoom. I'm working through the microphone on my laptop, so if I look this way, it's because I want to make sure they can hear me. So it's not because I'm stuck to my laptop. To start out with, I know that in the email I told you all that we'd be launching next Thursday. I had our final meeting with our development firm, and they're actually ahead of schedule. So we'll be launching Monday morning, which is actually really great because you want to launch when there's a low traffic time, and since there's the offices are closed and there's no classes on campus on Monday, it's a really actually good time to launch, and so it's kind of like a soft launch. So when you come back to work on Tuesday morning, you will notice that the website is a little different. So I'm going to walk you through this, and feel free to stop me anytime and ask questions or ask questions at the end. First, what's changing? So as you know, there's a lot of different aspects to Point's presence on the internet. So we have the intranet, we have My Point, we have the golf club website, the Point Skyhawks website. So what actually is changing? The two websites that will be affected by this redesign are point.edu and news.point.edu. These two are actually being combined. So news used to be hosted on its own site. It's being merged into point.edu, and so only that site will change. The intranet will not change, so it'll look exactly the same. Everything will be organized the same. There's nothing changing there. My Point, which is run by IT, nothing will change there. You'll still go to the same website to your single sign-on, and all that will look the same. And then the Point Skyhawks, they've already done their redesign, and it looks great. They did that back in November. That was Monroe's parting gift to us, I guess. So it's not changing any more at all either. So just point.edu and news.point.edu. So why all these sites? Why do we have all these different presences on the internet? So point.edu, the purpose of it is our external marketing site. So its audience is prospective students, alumni, community members, and other external audiences. Its focus is not faculty and staff, it's not current students, it's really marketing to try to put Point out there to people who don't know much about us. So that means that the content's going to include basic information about the university, so basic information about our academic program, admission requirements, calendars if it's a community member wanting to come to something. So it's very, very basic, introductory, and very heavily marketed, not necessarily on comprehensive. The intranet, on the other hand, is our internal information sharing site. So the primary audience is all of you. It's our current students. So that's where things that people who aren't accepted to Point yet might not need. So they want to know, parents might want to know, what does the housing look like? What does it cost? But they don't need till they're accepted the actual application to be in housing, or to request a meal plan, or to request not to have a meal plan. That's something that's in the intranet because it is needed for students who are already here. Same as your vehicle request form, office hours for internal services, things like that. My Point is anything that needs to be password protected. So that's our grade management through Campus Nexus, all the registrar stuff. It's our Point Learning. So it's really, all password protected through our single sign-on, and that's what My Point is. PointSkyhawks.com manages and communicates our athletic news and stats to the conference. So Steve puts in what our scores are, it goes straight to the NAI, and it's how they manage all that sports information. So with all these different sites, I know a lot of you sometimes have to make changes maybe to the intranet or to point.edu, or maybe even to My Point. So in the future, when you need to make an update, what or who do you contact? So for point.edu, it'll now be managed through the communications office. And we'll be sending out a link with a communications form, request form that you can submit. It'll be the exact same fields that you're used to now. It'll just be on a different place. It'll be managed by us and also by our development firm, Up and Up. Intranet, since it's not changing, it is still staying with our current webmaster, which if you worked with him, it's Kevin through KR Creative. It'll be the exact same form. Nothing will change for those sorts of tickets. And then my point, I'll let IT handle that. And so email them at itsupport@point.edu. So our goals for this redesign was to provide prospective students, current students, alumni, donors, and the Point University community with the optimal user experience on point.edu. After our development firm met with some different offices, some of the things that they requested were a cleaner design, with, pages with less heavy text, better organization and information hierarchy, a more institutional aesthetic, and then also better hosting and security and stability. Because we've all gotten on point.edu in the morning and realized this is not what it's supposed to look like, or not been able to access it at all, or access it at the speed of a computer in 1985. So this website will definitely solve all those hosting, security, and stability problems. So without further ado, this is a screenshot of our new website. I would show you the live development site, but since they're doing stuff to get it ready for Monday, I didn't want to risk it not being up right now. So these are just going to be screenshots. If you do have any questions at the end that need to be answered on the development side, I'll try to do that. Some of the new features that I want to point out to you today, these are our biggest changes, are the navigation, the organization, the new flexible modular design, an academic search feature, which I'm really pumped about, and also all the content. So our navigation is what we call a mega menu style. And because Point, especially in some of our academic programs and also our admissions, has a lot of maybe confusing structure with our online programs, traditional, blended, all these different types of things, we wanted a navigation that did more than just give you a drop down of options to choose from, that did a little bit more explaining. We also wanted to give clear calls to action because, again, with the different types of students we're trying to attract, we want to make sure the calls to actions were tailored to what they needed. And then also we have options for primary and secondary navigation, so we can bring attention to more important navigation items while still keeping those smaller, not as important, but still need to be there. And then also the navigation for mobile isn't just a mobile-friendly version of the website navigation. It's a navigation that was completely designed for the mobile, so it's way more mobile-friendly. It's really easy to use, and I really like it. So here's an example. So if you hover over admissions, and this would be for every single, so mega menu just means large menu, meaning it spans the width of the page. And so you see we have a description, and admissions doesn't need too much description, but in academics we do a very short description of the different types of programs. A clear call to action, so that each of these can have the call to action that's most important for that sort of user. And these are our higher level navigation items, and then things that are still important but that are lower level, so you can kind of distinguish and draw the user to maybe what is more important to them. Yes. It goes to the apply page.
What if it's does it designate?
Yes. Mm-hmm. So on the, I think that's how the current apply page is right now. There's this option to choose from one of four. Well, it takes it to the apply page. It won't be the apply page we have now, but the new apply page, which has a similar content to that. So it'll still have, I think they actually brought it down to 3 options. Not me, whoever, Rusty and higher ed. So yeah, it'll take it to the apply page. Because at this point, we don't know who they are yet. We don't know if, which one, but like, for example, on the traditional undergraduate, we were able to take them straight to the application since we knew by that point that they'd be a traditional student. Yes.
What's blended undergraduate?
So blended is 2 different things. So blended is a combination of our Point Connect, which are our kind of what used to be Access. So that is some mostly online, but also some streaming, so live streaming. And it's also our site-based program. So that's our new partnership with CCV out in Phoenix. It's our
Okay.
partnerships with Columbus Leadership, Columbus Leadership, Southside, and those other church partnerships that we have.
Okay, gotcha.
So,
But if we didn't understand that, how would you think how many persons using that site?
so on the homepage, there's actually a description of all 3 different programs. And what we're trying to do is, right now our website was really focused, our current website is really focused on getting them to the admissions page. And admissions page is so important, but we're putting so much stock in that we didn't convince them beforehand that they should even want to be admitted. So we put a lot more emphasis on our academic and our student experience pages so that they're sold by the time they get to admission. So our admission pages aren't our marketing pages. Our academic and our student experience pages are our marketing pages. Yes.
Well, I think what she's asking is there a quick description for the blended? Like when you click on blended undergraduate and graduate, is
Yeah.
there a description
So if you go
of
here to blended or under academics and blended, and also on our homepage there are descriptions. So there's not a description right here,
Okay.
but on our homepage, on that blended admissions page, and on our academics. On our academics, it's a very thorough description as well as description for all the programs. No problem. No, I definitely had to sit down with Stacy and Dr. Davis and be like, explain this to me one more time, since I'm going to be, putting it on there. Great questions. So next thing I'll talk about is our organization. So that was probably our biggest weakness, we would say, with our current website, is that there wasn't a lot of organization. Pages just kept getting added without really thought to where does it need to go, and it was hard to navigate from one part of the site to the other, see how they connected. So much so that when our development firm went in, the first thing they did was build a site map to kind of show us what's on our website. And this is what they sent us back. So no structure, just this long string of web pages. I don't know who's laughing, so Mr. Bain. And this is just this is just an example of how, we had all this great content, but a user couldn't really find how to get to it unless they had the link to that page. So we really wanted to focus on bringing something together so that it made sense and everything had a place on the website, even some kind of one-off pages. So this is not the final sitemap. I couldn't, in my files, find the final one. So if you look at this and say, that is not right, this isn't right. But this is an example of what they did, where they picked 5 or 7 big buckets and said, okay, we want to try to fit everything under here. And if there's something that doesn't fit, we need to think about what's the value of this page, where should it be fitting, what kind of information, what kind of audience is this target. And so they did a great job of taking 200 pages and figuring out where all they went. So these are the major buckets that we have created, and this is very similar to what's in our navigation. So about academics, and I wanted to point out some things that are now under academics that weren't before. So all of our academic resources, support, and of our programs. So that anything academic related is now put in there. You may see that this isn't how points structured in our offices. And that's okay, because a prospective student doesn't know how our offices are structured. They don't know necessarily what's the difference between a business office or what's the difference between a student services and financial aid. They just want to find the information. So we try to group things by how the user would think about them. So admissions, their content here is the same. Student experience, we kind of broke this out and talked a little bit more about the different facets of the student experience, and I'll talk a little bit more about that when we talk about content. Alumni and friends give quick links, which are those things, those pages that are important, but not necessarily need to be friend-centered. So Title IX, disclosures, those sorts of things, which were included in our news and events. And then we really wanted to bring to the forefront those 3 primary CTAs that we wanted anyone visiting our site to eventually go towards. Next is a flexible modular design. So kind of the way the last website was designed is we created the website, and then we handed it off to Kevin, who did a great job and is so easy to work with and a great designer, but kind of just did whatever you asked him to do. So you said, I love this page at Emory University. Can you make this page on our site? And he would do it, make all the colors blue and yellow now, but it's the exact same site with our header. And then someone else come by, I really love Truett McConnell's page on this. So can you make that happen on our side? And so what you have is this mishmash of design where pages kind of look alike, but not really, and you don't get that seamless user experience. So we wanted something that was very, very consistent, but also flexible as your different departments have a lot of different needs. So I love what they came up with is they created these different modules that we can move around, we can choose, and we can try to come up with the best design that meets your page's needs while still reflecting the brand and being really cohesive. So for example, and this is an example of a hero image with a title. Admissions doesn't have this, but there's also an option for like a little subtitle, a clear call to action, and then a little description of this page, and then navigation to the right. So this is the top, this isn't the whole page, this is the top. But all these are things that we can mix and match. You can take away the hero image and just have a page title and a description. And so, oh, come on in. So this is an example of a couple modules. This is the rest of the admissions page. So we have, these can either be little icons or they can be stats. We use the stats on the home page. We also have these really cool cards that can either be photos or they can be different colors that are our tertiary colors of our brand. You can make these full width, or these are half, or these are quarter. And you also have these little links and descriptions to other pages. So there are a few other modules, but these are just some that I wanted to highlight and show you that there's a lot of options. So in the future, you say, hey, I like what Emory has. I like these aspects of it, and then I'll try to match the modules that best fit that sort of thing, but still fit into our brand. And so it gives us a lot of flexibility. And Kevin's not, our webmaster's not having to create a page from scratch every time. So hopefully we'll speed up the process that I can just pick all these different elements that they've already created for us, add in your information, your photos, and the page is ready. An academic search feature. So as you know, just an example of you asking what Blended is, Point has a lot of diverse academic opportunities. 3 different modalities. We offer 3 different levels of degrees. I think we have 7 undergraduate departments and 3 or 4 CGPS departments. So we have a lot to offer, but that makes it really difficult to organize and for the user to understand. So our development team created an academic search feature where a student could really easily figure out what modality they were looking for and find a program. So this academic search feature is on 2 different places on the website. It's on the home page and it's on the academics page. So there are 3 different tabs and they can choose the tab, each has a description. This one, the Blended will also have a longer description like this so they can see what those types of programs are. And they can either filter by department, so they want to see all business department majors, or they can search by program name, degree, and major. And this doesn't have to be a one-to-one match. Because what if a student comes in and they want to study communications? We don't have a communications degree, but things might pop up like business, or business administration, or marketing. And so we've associated keywords with all these different programs so that as much as we can, no search ever turns up completely empty. And even if it does turn up empty, we have this nice message now like, please try another modality or revise your search. You know, something to encourage them to keep looking, but we're, you know, really trying to show them that we have something to offer them. This is an example. This is the actual search feature on the homepage. So I typed in accounting, and so we have accounting, and maybe, you know, we have accounting information systems. What are other things that maybe someone who likes accounting might want to look into? And so other programs that have accounting or might be linked to accounting, they can see and explore those programs. Any questions about that? So finally, and most importantly, no website is great without good content. We had more than 200 pages that needed to be transferred, and that doesn't even include all the news pages, which weren't really reviewed, but you know, they just brought over. So over 200 pages were reviewed. And I know some of you might have had to look over that content and proofread to make sure it's all correct, because while Catherine and I can edit, we don't know who's in charge of what, or you know, what exactly your department does. So I really appreciate all of you who had to look over content. So yeah, every page we did our best to make sure that it was completely accurate. We might have missed a typo, so if you see one of those, please send them because 200 pages is a lot. But every page was reviewed by someone in that department, both Catherine and I. So as far as it depends on us, we try to make sure links weren't broken, everyone's name was spelled correctly. So content that was removed. No pages were removed unless requested by a representative from that department. So we didn't go and willy-nilly, this seems like a dumb page, we'll delete it. Or, I don't feel like editing this long page on financial aid, we just won't bring it over with the website. So no pages were removed unless requested by someone from that department. And even so, there were very few pages that happened. Most of the time it was, hey, can we merge these 2 pages? And so to make it more cohesive. So every page was reviewed. Most pages were moved. So you saw that, going from a sitemap that's this long to a sitemap that has a little bit more depth, every page is moved. You don't have to worry about that because our development team, our development firm, went in and put what's called a 301 redirect. That means that any URL that was on the old site has been matched up to the URL from a new site. So the example I gave in yesterday's meeting was if the link is now point.edu/transient, and the new website, it's point.edu/admission/transient. If someone had that page bookmarked, or if you had a flyer that already had that URL, that URL, point.edu/transient, will send them to point.edu/admission/transient. They will never know the difference. So any flyers, any email marketing, anything that you had bookmarked should all say the same. If it doesn't, let us know. We'll make sure that that redirect gets fixed.
Is there a timeline for that?
It's done. It's done. So when it launches on Monday, all URL, there should be no break for the user. Again, if we've missed one, if you have something bookmarked and you're like, this isn't working like it should, we'll go in and fix that pretty quickly. But we've done some bug testing and it should all be fine. So, every single page, even for those that maybe were deleted or combined, they've matched every single URL possible from our website to a page. So if it was deleted, they matched to the closest page or maybe something that, would land them where they need to go.
Stephanie, those jumps will stay active for
Ever, yes, until someone deletes them or is mean and goes in and deletes them all to cause great havoc. No, I'm just kidding. They will all remain there forever. And someone asked me yesterday, will the user know any difference? The user will not know any difference except for if they look in the bar where the address is. So they type in point.edu/transient. It takes them automatically to the new page. And if they go back and look in the bar, it now says point.edu/admission/transient. So if they look there, they'll see the difference. But from the actual point, if they never go and look at that link again, then they'll never know. So if they re-bookmark it, it'll bookmark the correct link. The pages that were added, the 3 primary areas where we developed the most content was academic programs. So before, in the current website, the way for traditional programs, each department just had their page. And on that page, they had to list all their departments, or all their degrees and programs, which made for very long, very text heavy, very hard to navigate pages. So now every single program has their own page. So business has its own page. Marketing has its own page. And each of those pages has the professors who teach in it, all the curriculum that they have to take for that course, the different highlights of that program, the different career opportunities. So we really did a lot to kind of expand those because, programs like our Counseling and Human Services have a lot of different types of programs that they offer. There's a big difference between child and youth development and criminal justice. I believe those are in the same department, right? So we just want to make sure that a student isn't confused by department name and maybe misses out on the major that they were looking for. As I mentioned, the student experience, most of that content is new, and I'm so thankful for all, especially the student life staff who helped write a lot of that content. So we did a lot more robust talking about our spiritual formation and it not just being, this is what Point believes, which is important for us to have, but what is spiritual formation on campus? Residence life, not just a link to the housing video, but like, what's it like living on campus? You know, what are the different types of living communities? What's it like to eat on campus? What's the local area like? And so we did a lot more to develop those student experience pages. So there's even one, I think on the current website, we just send them straight to Point Skyhawks if they click athletics. Well, you know, we do have a lot of athletes, but there's a lot of non-athletes, and, you know, they want to know, you know, is it something I can get involved in? So we have a school spirit page that has links to our Marching Skyhawks and our Point Skyhawks. But we also talk about, you know, it's fun. People go to games, hopefully. And, you know, there's these great, you know, and like, you know, we have full stance photos, and like, you know, there's a lot of school spirit, and you can get invested as a Skyhawk even if you're not an athlete. So we're trying to sell more of the experience. And so again, thanks to Student Life for definitely helping develop some of those pages. Community service was another one we developed a little bit more on. Questions. So that's the end of my demo. Are there any questions that, or things I didn't cover that you have questions about, or anything regarding your department stuff? All of your a representative from each department should have gotten a link to the development side so they can review their pages. So everything should be A-okay with them as well. They got their final stamp of approval. But do you have any questions? Does anyone online have any questions? You can enter in the Zoom chat feature. Yeah, Catherine's question. Right, so part of our contract with higher ed is they wanted their own website where they could manage the search engine optimization and can kind of track their leads a little bit more closely. So all of our online programs will link off to their site. We have provided them with the design files and let them know when the site will be going live, including with update that's going live a little bit earlier. So best case scenario, they swap over to the new design the same time our does as well. But there may be a little bit of a gap. But just so you know, if you go on and end up on a page that doesn't look like what you've been looking at, all online admissions and academic programs are now hosted by higher education on online.point.edu.
But it does feed into the search feature.
Yes. So when they search in the search bar for online programs, we have I don't get too technical, but we have an API with them. We've worked with them so that our site is searching their site. So if someone goes to online and searches accounting, once they click that accounting, they'll go over to online.point.edu. But until then, they can search, look at different programs. So our site still has a list of all of them. Still can serve those students' needs before they say, yes, definitely I'm an online student, and they head over to the other site.
Once you get to their site, is it easy to get back to our site? Or once we get to their site, we lost them?
I would say it's not quite very easy to get back to our site. We're working through that. I think once maybe they've implemented the new design, it will be easier. That is TBD.
And I may have more information about that. I did connect with them about the new launch day, which we had already sent that to them too, and they were going to tell me to update the design.
Perfect.
And we can get some more information.
Yeah. Yeah.
To the
Yes.
Is there a community calendar? The community portion of my job, one of the questions I get asked most often is like, when is the next concert? When is the next blah, blah, blah? Is there a place where people who don't want to go to school but want to know what's going on, can they get to easily?
Yeah, so there's actually it's right now you can go to point.edu/events, and the bubble calendar is there, and the bubble calendar, Catherine and I, actually our student worker, manages. So all the fine arts concert in there, all athletic events are in there, all student life are events. So they can look there, and it'll be the same on the new site, point.edu/events. You know, even though not all of our students use the actual bubble app, it is what they use for a calendar. In fact, in our weekly email, that's one of the highest click thing is going to the actual bubble calendar on the website. So it's updated by us. So all the fine arts concerts are already in there. All the athletic events are already fed straight in there. Things like Impact Day or different community events will be in there. So yes, point.edu/events. It will also have student life, but it's pretty easy to operate, and I think filter.
Would you go through without the intermediate discussion of how to show us the website, piece by piece?
Yes. So, so this is the top of the homepage. Again, I would show you the development site, but it's a little buggy because they're trying to get transitioned over to the permanent hosting, not the development. And so once you click or you hover over one of those top navigation items, it drops down to look like this.
Don't get started about it before.
It's not live.
It's not, these are just, I'm sorry, these are just screenshots.
Uh-oh.
I'm sorry. I did a good job. Any other questions? Oh, sorry, I see one from online. Sorry, I wasn't doing a good job of repeating questions back. So I have a request from someone online to repeat the questions. There was a question of how can community members find out about events on campus? And we said that's point.edu/events, and there'll be a calendar there that's useful for both them and students. And then we talked about the online programs, how all the online programs will now be hosted by Higher Education's Point or online at point.edu. And so whereas the programs are listed on our page or on our site, they will be sent over to online.point.edu when they click on them. Can't remember the other questions. I'm sorry. Any other questions? Chris.
Yesterday, I was saying some about not user, but manager interaction with forms. You want to talk about forms?
Yeah, I don't, so there, Chris Byrne asked about forms. I don't believe that anyone who is in here is in charge of forms like people were yesterday, but forms are moving over to a different form manager that's a little bit more secure. And so all forms are completely the same. We made sure we had all the same entry boxes, all the same options. It has the same, like, the message you might have said, like confirmation message, so they get the email saying, thanks for your, application to link, best Katie Williams. And then you'll get the same notification with all that information, but it will come from a different place. So that's the only, if you were someone who received a form that someone filled out online, the only difference you should experience is the form might come from a different, it won't come from FormStack anymore. And it might look a little bit different, but all the forms should be exactly the same. If you want to go on and test them and see how they work on Tuesday, we will make sure to get those updated quickly because we know those are very important to all of you. But everything from redoing the very long job form to the very short, R5 forms, everything has been moved over.
Yesterday, I was encouraged that everyone just make sure that the giving form works. So if you all whatever amount.
At least $10.
We have moved, for those of you who may have experienced difficulties with our giving form in the past, we've moved to a new system, not the system that we're moving for this giving form, something completely different, and it is top notch and it's going to be a lot more seamless with how we manage gifts and stuff. So that's going to be really awesome.
What's our period for sending requests?
Yeah, so for the starting on, I don't know if it starts Monday or Tuesday, for 2 weeks, we basically have unlimited development hours with our development firm to fix bugs. So during those 2 weeks, click on everything you can, look through all your pages because it's included in our contract with them. We don't have to pay them any extra to do all those fixes. So look through. When I send out an email, actually meant to, I haven't sent out the email announcing the new date. So tomorrow I'll be sending out an email to everyone with the new link to send in requests for updates. Just submit those requests. They'll filter through me and I'll pass them on. I'll probably pass most of them on for those 2 weeks, but after those 2 weeks are over, I'll be handling most of the requests. Come March 27th, Catherine will be handling most of those requests. And then any big requests, like if I can't or if we don't have time, or if it's something more server or more technical based, we will pass that along to them. So that's gonna be really nice that you're not having individually to deal with a third party webmaster. It'll still all be in-house, so we can talk through it before we communicate those changes. Any other questions? Well, I appreciate you all coming. I was really surprised that I guess everyone either really loves the website or is really terrified of the website. So I was surprised at the amount of people who were interested. But I'm so thankful for those of you here and those of you who are listening in via Zoom. We have recorded this session, and we'll record the session tomorrow, because there have been people who are requested that as well. We want to make sure that everyone, as I said, feels super comfortable with this transition and that it's as easy for everyone as possible. So thanks you guys for coming, and grab a cupcake or cookie and some soda and water before you go.